Hello, all you wonderful people out there in the dark. Thank you again for checking in. Yes, as you can see, I have some notes. I wanted to talk just a little bit about Halley's Comet. For a lot of you, you may not even know what Halley's Comet is. But it's always been interesting to me, so I thought I'd take a few minutes of your day and share some thoughts. So, Halley's Comet, it's officially designated as 1P/Halley, and it's basically a short period comet that we're able to see with our naked eye from Earth about every 75 years or so. It is actually the only naked eye comet that can appear twice in a person's lifetime. Probably not mine. It last appeared in 1986, which means it's probably going to show up again in mid-2061. So unless by some miracle I live to be into my 90s, I don't see the reality of me ever seeing the comet again. But aside from that, this comet has been around for several thousand years. Now, it was first officially observed and recorded in 240 BC, but it wasn't until 1705 that this rich British merchant met with this cat named Sir Isaac Newton, that the comet that we know today got its name. But we'll get back to that here in just a minute. So, 467 BC, there's some ancient Greek writings that mention a light in the sky that lasts for days and days and days, but no one can conclusively say that it was the comet that they were describing or talking about. Interestingly enough, at the same time period, some Chinese also mentioned the light with the tail in the sky about the same time, about 467 BC, at least by our calendar, not the Chinese calendar. But it was officially recorded by the Chinese, the observation in 240 BC. It's mentioned again in 164 BC. There's some Babylonian tablets that talk about the light in the sky. Again, in 87 BC, it's actually mentioned again in some Babylonian tablets that talk about it appeared day beyond day for over a month, which we today know it to be the comet we're talking about. And in 12 BC, again, the Chinese record and mention its observation. And then the Chinese again in 141 AD. Now, in 1451, it's believed that this heralded the viewing of the comet, heralded the defeat of Attila the Hun in 1451. Because keep in mind, 1451 AD all the way back, this comet, no one knew what the hell it was. So these were seen as omens. None of this was good. We didn't understand lightning. We didn't understand anything. We figured everybody was pissed at us when something strange appeared in the heavens. Even in 1066, the comet appeared over the battlefield of Hastings, which everybody saw as a bad omen, and Harold II died, and ultimately the followers of Harold II lost the Battle of Hastings to this young cat from Normandy named William the Conqueror. Now, William the Conqueror ushered in the dawn of the modern British monarchy, the same cats that rule today, Elizabeth and her grandkids, William and Harry, and that gal they're both married to, Meghan Markle, and I forget the other one. It goes all the way back to 1066. That's the dawn of their monarchy, and it's all believed to be because of the comet that was in the sky. It actually even appears in the Bayeux Tapestry from 1066 that they wove to show the defeat and show how great William the Conqueror, which I don't think he had the Conqueror name then. It wasn't until he beat Harold II that he got the Conqueror name, but I'm not sure. You'll have to look that up. But even in 1456, the Ottoman Empire invaded the Kingdom of Hungary that culminated in the siege of Belgrade, all because of this comet that appeared in the sky that they would see day after day for about a month or so. Freaked people out, man. So along comes 1682, and the comet is out again. And about this time, there's this cat. He's 23 years old. His name's Isaac Newton. And he's working on what we today call his theory of gravity. And as the story goes, or some accounts go, I don't know, he's wandering around some road and an apple falls out of an apple tree. And it occurs to him that if the apple falls, why doesn't the moon fall? Well, he doesn't know, and he questions this. Does the moon fall? And I'm sure you're thinking right now, well, does the moon fall? Well, the short answer is yes, the moon is actually falling. The moon is actively falling. Now, it doesn't hit the Earth because it's spinning around the Earth is spinning around the sun, and the sun is spinning around. There's lots of complex math behind why that doesn't happen, but essentially gravity and a myriad space-time and a myriad other things prevent that from happening. But the moon is actually continually falling, just like we are continually. The Earth is continually falling towards the sun. Now, Newton was smart enough to realize at 23, good, this kid's not spending a lot of time dicking around. He's really focused. At 23, he realizes that the math of the late 17th century isn't adequate for the calculations he's going to need to prove his theory of gravity. So he invents a new math. He calls it calculus. He just invents a math. And it turns out his math was right. And it basically changed thousands of years of how we believed or perceived the heavens to work. He understood, once he understood the moon's motion, he realized that could also be applied to the motion of all the planets and the stars in our solar system. This is 1682. Now, meanwhile, while this is happening, somewhere between 1602 and 1705, there's this rich cat named Edmund Halley. He made a lot of money being a merchant. I don't know what he sold, but he's a rich guy. Well, he travels to Cambridge to talk about the comet that's in the sky with Newton. So, Edmund Halley's asking Newton about the comet, and is he aware of it, and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we don't know what the conversation was exactly, but basically, Halley's probably saying something. Hey, you see that thing in the sky? Isn't that interesting? He theorizes that it's the same comet through his research as a sort of an astronomer as a hobby, that and through records that it appears every 75 years or so. And Newton sort of agrees, and he says that, yes, that's true, and the reason it does appear is because the comet is moving in an ellipse, and he's actually been tracking it on the telescope he recently invented, that is a reflective telescope using a mirror, so you can get a better look at the comet itself. Now, of course, Halley is like, oh my God, man, you figured out so much. Why haven't you published? You need to put this stuff out. And Newton was like, what publish? I don't have any money. I'm just some nerd, worked out math and figured out that the moon is falling and that comet in the sky is the same comet people have been seeing for the last 1,000 years. And it's moving in an ellipse. And Halley's like, you need to publish. And then Halley's basically saying, I tell you what, I'll pay for it. I'll pay to publish all of it. We have to get this. If what you're saying is true, we need to get it out into the world so people can read and discover and learn. And that is why that comet is called Halley's Comet. He published Newton's book, which was called Principia, which is basically calculus and the math that ends up guiding the movements of the heavens and everything around us. And it's probably one of the greatest, most important works ever published in the history of man, from our beginnings on the African continent all the way to today. because this book basically set in motion the understanding of physics, at least how we understand it presently in the world, and how everything moves. It created the 3 laws of motion, that an object in motion stays in motion unless something is acted upon to stop it, whether that be gravity or a wall. If I take a puck and I hit it, it'll continue to slide along that ice forever until it hits a net, or gravity or inertia slows it down. In a vacuum, it would go forever. His second law that we still use today, that force is equal to mass times acceleration, that gave us the Industrial Revolution. That's why we could build skyscrapers as tall as, way up into the sky. Because of that math, we're able to figure out the weight and the load on each one of the bricks and blocks and steel girders, all because of his second law of motion. And then, of course, we all know his third law of motion is that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Those 3 laws are the foundation of modern science. And again, the Industrial Revolution, the equal and opposite reaction, that's the reason we have rockets. It's just amazing what Newton does. And then the idea that it kind of all came about at the same time of this comet that's going to reappear here in 40 years or so. Again, I'll be in my 90s, so I won't see it, but some of you may be around to see it. And if you are, I hope you take a moment and look up at the sky and know that that has been coming and going every 75 years for, longer than man has been able to write or think independently. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. I wanted to share it with you. I don't know how I got on this kick. I've been reading a lot about physics and relativity, and somehow I got on a path of Halley's Comet, and I thought I should do some quick research and then talk to you fine people about it. I hope you got a kick out of it. As I always say, crack a book, do some of your own research. I bet a lot of you didn't know why Halley's Comet was named Halley's Comet, and it's tied to Mr. Newton. And keep in mind that Newton, along with that cat I talked to before, Maxwell, who invented electromagnetism or discovered it or combined electricity and magnetism, he was worshipped. Both those guys were worshipped by Einstein, who gave us special relativity, space-time, E equals mc squared, and a number of other things. I'm working on a video about the speed of light, which is really fast, but we're still working on that. Enough of this. Anyway, in this world, when you could be anything you want, please be kind, be humble, be forgiving, and be melting snow. Take care. Bye-bye.